So let's get right into it. How do you get better grades in like a fraction of the time? We're about to break down a method for studying so fast, you're going to feel like you found a cheat code.
Does this hit a little too close to home? You know the feeling. You sacrifice your nights, you put in all the hours, and your grades are just fine. And then you see that friend who barely studied at all and they get the same grade. It is so frustrating, and trust me, you are not alone in feeling that way.
But here's the good news. If you're struggling with this, the problem probably isn't you. It's the way you're studying, and that is something we can absolutely fix.
Now this is where it gets really interesting. The whole idea here is that with the right techniques, you can spend just 20% of your usual study time and still pull in top grades. Yeah, you heard that right. Let's dig into how that's even possible.
First things first, mindset and momentum. Because before you even crack open a book, you've got to get your head in the game and get your brain ready for peak performance.
Let's start with brain fuel. I mean, what you eat literally affects how you think. It's so easy to grab sugary snacks when you're stressed and studying, right? But that stuff actually slows your brain down and kills your focus. On the other hand, things like nuts, fish, or berries, they can seriously boost your memory and help you stay sharp.
And hey, don't just take my word for it. This is all backed by research. Studies out of UCLA have shown that too much sugar can literally slow your brain down, making it way harder to learn new things. And other research connects sugar to messing with your focus and your ability to reason. The science is pretty clear on this one. Maybe swap the candy for some almonds before you study.
Okay, next up is the conversation you have inside your own head. If you sit down and your first thought is, this is going to be a total drag, then guess what? It's going to be a total drag. Your brain is unbelievably powerful, and it tends to follow the script that you give it.
So the trick is simple. Change the script. There was this Harvard study that found people who just believed their physical jobs were good exercise actually got healthier. The power of belief is no joke. So instead of dreading it, frame it like a challenge. Tell yourself, this is easy, I'm going to knock this out fast. It's a tiny shift, but it makes a huge difference. All right, let's talk about time. You ever notice how if you have an entire day to clean your room, it somehow takes the entire day? Well, there's a name for that. It's called Parkinson's Law. Basically, any task you have will swell up and fill whatever time you give it. And this is the absolute enemy of studying efficiently. So how do you beat it? It's actually brilliantly simple. You use a timer. When you set a challenging but doable time limit, let's say 1 hour to get through a chapter, your brain knows it's go time. It flips into focus mode, cuts out the noise, and forces you to be way more efficient.
Okay, so your mindset is positive and you've got your timer ready to go. Now for part 2, the strategy. Because having less time only works if you spend that time on what actually matters. This is all about working smarter, not harder. And the key to this whole strategy is something called the 80-20 rule. It's a wild concept that says in most situations, about 80% of your results come from just 20% of your effort. So, if you're racing against the clock, the most powerful thing you can do is find that critical 20% and focus all your energy there. Think about it like this. Instead of trying to become an expert on 100% of the material, which is basically impossible, the smart move is to pinpoint that core 20% of topics that are going to get you 80% of the answers on the exam. That, right there, is the secret to strategic studying. So the big question is, how do you find that magic 20%? Well, there are some pretty clear clues. Look at the summaries at the end of textbook chapters. Pay really close attention to what your professor keeps mentioning over and over in class. Go find past exams. And always, always ask yourself, if I could only review one thing right now, what would it be?
Okay, pop quiz for you. When you open a brand new textbook chapter, what's the very first thing you should look at? The introduction? The first sentence? The answer is the answers. I know, it sounds totally backward, but this is an amazing hack. Go straight to the review questions at the end of the chapter. This tells you immediately what the most important concepts are and what the exam questions might look like. It basically primes your brain to look for that info as you read, so you don't waste time on fluff. You know, another huge trap we all fall into is reviewing the stuff we already know. It feels good, it feels productive, but it's not actually helping you get better. The smart approach? It's to face your weaknesses. Spend your precious time on the topics that you find confusing or difficult. That's where you're going to see the biggest jump in your grade.
Moving on to our final section, the modern toolkit. We've talked mindset, we've talked strategy, now let's talk about the tools that can put this whole process into hyperdrive.
We are living in a pretty incredible time for learning, and one of the biggest game changers is artificial intelligence. The key here is to think of AI not as a way to cheat, but as your own personal study assistant who never gets tired and can help you learn way more efficiently.
So what can these tools actually do for you? Well, things like ChatGPT can create summaries of super long articles, explain really complex ideas in simple ways, create practice tests for you, answer specific questions you're stuck on, and even help you organize a study plan. It can literally save you hours of work.
And finally, let's talk about mistakes. Every single mistake you make on a practice test is a golden opportunity to learn. So here's a simple system called the correction cycle. Just keep a list, a single document of every question you get wrong. Then, right before the real test, review that list. It is one of the best ways to lock in the right info and make sure you don't make those same mistakes when it really counts.
So there you have it. That is your new playbook. It's a whole system designed not just to help you ace your exams, but to help you reclaim your most valuable resource, your time.
So, let's just quickly run through the game plan one more time. Fuel your brain with the right stuff. Master that inner monologue. Use a timer to beat the clock. Laser focus on that critical 20% of material. Actively learn from every single mistake. And use modern tools to make it all happen faster.
And that really brings us to the final and honestly, the most important question. Because the whole point of studying smarter isn't just about getting better grades, it's about getting your life back. So, when you start using these strategies and you free up all that time, what are you going to do with it?